Hi, my name's Barry Crampton. Welcome to another edition of Not the Evangelist News. Today I want to talk about everything electric, but more about surveys. What are, you'll keep seeing these surveys. It started off something like 99% of EV owners won't go back to an ICE car. Well, we all know that's rubbish. Anybody with a brain knows that's rubbish. I know that 3 people that came to our garage wanting to swap EVs in, we're only a tiny garage. They want to swap EVs in for an ICE car. In fact, we've had an inquiry today. The chap wants to swap his EV in for a Land Rover Discovery 3-litre diesel. Okay, there's a saying, spoiler alert. So don't look, if you don't want to know the score, it used to come on the TV, there'd be a football match. If you don't want to know the score, look away now. You'd look away and the score would come up and then you could watch it on Match of the Day at the night. But just before Match of the Day come on, somebody would say, I won't tell you the result, but nobody scored. Well, thanks. You'd avoided the papers, you'd avoided the flipping TV, you just sit down to watch it, nobody scored. All right, thanks. Or you're looking through your tweets and it comes up, Man United, Man City, 0-0. You sat there just waiting for it to come on. Ugh. So spoiler alert. Spoiler alert is not a good thing. People spoiling things for you. There's always that type of person. They can't get their own way, so they spoil it for you. They don't want you to enjoy something. They don't want you to do something. They don't want you to get a result, so they spoil it. Now then, let me just... Electric Everything, they've come up with a new website. This is what they say. The new Electric Vehicles UK website is live, whether you're an EV driver or just EV curious. Electric Vehicles UK is your single point of truth for everything you need to know about electric vehicles. Single point of truth for everything. Now, that's a bold claim, because I know for a fact that 4 of their presenters can't even agree on the carbon neutrality point of an EV as opposed to an ICE car. They've all got different figures. It can't be a single point of truth because they've all got different opinions. They've got different opinions about what you should do. Some people don't think you need to check your brakes. Some people think you need to go onto an industrial estate once every week or 2 and do emergency stops to make sure your brakes are clean and your calipers are free. There's no rust on the discs. But you see, my question is, what if you have an accident? What if somebody pulls out in front of you on the way to the industrial estate where you're going to clean your brakes off on your EV because regen has stopped your brakes from working? What about that? So it's not a single point of truth. But it's even worse than that. These people keep regurgitating surveys. There's a reporter here, Madeline Ross, Money Reporter, 29th of November 2024, 2 p.m. GMT. Have you bought an electric car and regretted it? Email us at money@telegraph.co.uk. She's got a job to do, just like Electric Everything have got a job to do. They retweet all the positive things on electric, but it's got to be a balance. There has got to be a balance. And the trouble is, what Everything Electric can't see is, by retweeting all the good things, the slightly biased things, they are creating buyer's remorse, as I've said before, because if somebody then goes and buys an EV and it doesn't live up to their expectations, they will hate it. They will absolutely hate it, and they will find everything they possibly can do wrong with it and moan about it. It's the wrong way to market EVs. So, spoiler alert. And this is typical. They're like children. These EV people, they're like children. They just, well, I'll show you. I'll show you a couple of tweets from somebody. I mean, at first, I didn't know who was tweeting me. Because, it's as the Everything Electric Show. But it turned out it was the CEO. God, he's unbelievably childish. He really is. He just shouldn't be tweeting. What he should do is stop tweeting, because he's doing them more damage than I don't know what. But anyway, so this Madeline Ross, she's put this out. She wants people to email them. Now then, so Everything Electric, you know what to do. Now, what do you think that means? You know what to do on a channel that is specifically about EVs and is followed by a load of people who've got EVs. They've not blocked them. They've not unfollowed them. To me, that tells me that they like them. You know, if I have a negative experience with someone, I don't want to be reminded of it. I will flip and block them on Twitter and so on, as fast as you can say unfollow someone on Twitter. So you know what to do. Now think about it. What does that mean to you? This lady wants to know if you've regretted buying. That's what she wants. She wants to know if she's. But here, old spoiler alert, Dan Caesar, you know what to do. Now I tweeted him back. So immediately I saw that, it wound me up. Something terrible. Because he's trying to spoil her survey. He's trying to spoil her report. He's trying to cock her up. And no matter what he says, that's what he's trying to do. Everything Electrical, you know what to do. My reply. Well, tell the truth would be good for a start, and let people who have bought an EV and regretted it tell their story. There are plenty, but every time they say anything, your lot shout them down and imply they need educating or there is something wrong with them. Why not try and help? Then and only then will we find out the real problems with EV adoption, without you stirring up your EV sycophants and getting their panties in a bunch. I've got news for you. They ain't ideal for everyone, otherwise they wouldn't have to discount them to a level where they are a no-brainer. They should be sold on merit or they will keep tanking. Then they replied to me. Did we tell those that have a bad experience not to speak? A bit transparent, Barrie, putting words in our mouth. As even you might admit, the negative publicity around EVs is wildly disproportionate to the reality of the driver's lived experience, as shown in this and every other survey. Every other survey of people who are... I mean, they can't be that stupid. They really can't be that stupid. You know, if you got together 100 mass murderers and you asked them if mass murdering is a good thing, what do you think they'd say? If you asked them if they wanted to keep on murdering people, what do you think they'd say? But if you ask one of the victims, well, I don't suppose you could. Right, so if you ask one of the victims who got away if mass murdering is a good thing, what do you think they'd say? That's the person who sold the EV. That's the person who's had the EV. It didn't suit them. We want to know why it didn't suit them, so we can address that. That's how you do things. You address problems. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. These people are part of the problem. And they just don't know. Well, they do know. They don't care. They don't want anybody to say anything different. They don't want me to say anything different. They don't want this lady who was doing the report. So, yeah, there you go. So they've sent me this. 99% would recommend a BEV battery electric vehicle if asked. If asked, you can't shut them up. The ones who like it, they're on Twitter, electric vehicle. You can't shut them up. You don't need to ask them. Christ, what you need to do is shut them up. 93% would not switch back to ICE internal combustion vehicle. 9 out of 10 are satisfied with their current primary BEV battery electric vehicle. 95% believe the mainstream media is not portraying a fair reflection of their experience owning a BEV. 92% believe that the national governments are not doing enough to accelerate the switch. They're not giving them enough money. They're not giving them enough money to persuade them not to buy an ICE car. That's what they're saying. You've got to be bribed not to buy an ICE car. Well, that's it, isn't it? 80% have no objection to buying a car that is either made in China or made by a Chinese manufacturer. That's his answer. Shown in this and every other survey. My answer. A survey of people who have EVs and follow an EV website that's bound to be accurate. Not. And if it's transparency you want, then you wouldn't have mentioned it in your timeline. As usual, you try to create a pile-on to either discredit the writer or muddy the waters. I'm pretty sure that the people who have had negative experiences and blown a fortune will not be following your site unless they are masochists. You are part of the problem. You just either don't realise it or don't care. And then we get the usual blooming idiots. This Phil the arsehole. There we go. Who else would you ask for an opinion if not EV drivers? Silly people. And then they try and be clever then. They try and be clever. But do you know why people who surround themselves with yes men think everything's good? Emperor's new clothes, yeah? Has nobody learnt the lesson since the Emperor got new clothes? You know, I remember that from being a kid. These EV people, they call me thick. Here we go. EV grey, another tosser. So based on your theory that you only like the views of ex-electric car drivers, I didn't say that. So shouldn't the same apply to combustion cars? So as someone who drove a combustion car for 30 years, they are noisy and smelly. They are expensive to run and maintain. The driving experience is poor. Well, that's just rubbish. That's just absolute rubbish. They're cheaper on a whole to run than an EV at the moment. Could change, but not at the moment. They're more fun to drive than an EV. An EV is just, what can it do? What does an EV do better than a nice car? Like Milado said the other day, no brum brum cars, EVs. That's how he's got one, and he refers to it as a no broom car. They all look crap. They're boring as anything. They're boring to drive. It's boring to charge them. If anything goes wrong, I wouldn't know what to do with it. And not only would I not know what to do with it, we have a guy who's brilliant. He's got a van full of technology, computers, diagnostic machines. He writes programs. He can rewrite the code on your ECU. He can rewrite it. He won't touch EVs. You know, I mean, it's just that stupid. It's just wholly that stupid. So we'll just go through this one again. Based on your theory that you only like the views of ex-electric car drivers, so shouldn't the same apply to combustion cars? So as someone who drove a combustion car for 30 years, they are noisy and smelly, they are expensive to run and maintain, the driving experience is poor. That's brilliant, except they are cheap to charge, not cheap to run. Ask the leasing companies and the hire fleets, they don't have to charge them. But have they learned their lesson about catastrophic depreciation? And boy, do they know now, EVs are a lot more expensive to own than a smelly, noisy ICE car. Now that didn't go exactly as you thought it would in your head, did it? EV grey.
If the depreciation is so high, why isn't that reflected in current leasing prices? The example is a Volkswagen ID Buzz, 150 kilowatt style Pro, 77 kilowatts, auto, inclusive of two-tone paint, personal price per month inclusive of VAT, £451.64. Business leasing, £376.37, exclusive of VAT. Initial rental, £2,709.84. My reply: you really are going to wish you hadn't asked this question. There is a massive bonus to get rid of them on finance. Now look at this on Auto Trader's leasing company, Autorama or Vanarama, whatever they call it this week. And then, when you've looked at the prices, click 60 months. Look at the payment for 60 months. To me, that looks like Auto Trader think the ID Buzz is going to self-destruct in 60 months and they're basically going to have to rebuild it. You will notice that the prices, since you tweeted the other day, have come down £100 or so. So just lock yourself in a dark room and write out 100 times, I must not believe everything I read or see on Everything Electric. So to be fair, he hasn't told me the mileage on the example he sent, but I've just kind of calculated it using the deposit or thereabouts. The one on Vanarama is £2,989.44 deposit, followed by 48 months at £332.16. However, the interesting thing is, if you then click to 60 months, the deposit goes up to £7,006.32 and the monthly payment's £778.48. So I can only assume that Auto Trader think that Volkswagens are going to self-destruct after 5 years and they're going to have to rebuild them, hence doubling the price of the lease.
The EVs are so heavily subsidised, I'm unclear how they want the government to promote these vehicles more. The market didn't choose this, it was forced. And he's put, I'm afraid, Diane, you've believed things you've read which have no relationship with reality of what's actually happening in the market. Follow Colin Walker for the truth. Now, if there is somebody who's got no relationship with reality of what's actually happening in the market, it's Colin Walker. For the truth. So that these people, single point of truth. Colin Walker. Yeah, okay. And then he's come up with, and this is the CEO, Everything Electric Show and Expo. Oh dear, everything I don't like is woke. A book for basic dickheads. This engine is woke.
Oh dear indeed. Happiest times of my childhood spent tinkering about in the garage helping my dad. And you lot will never get to do that. Another one of the many reasons I feel sorry for you. Also, do you think you're the right person to be answering the tweets? I'm not sure you have the right attitude, if I'm honest. I'll have strong words with the CEO. Arrogant.
And we've got Essex EVs again, or no sex EVs, as I call it. Making out that people said something that they didn't is exactly what Barry Crampton sadly does. Funny how all these people object to free speech and anyone else trying to answer back to the mainstream media, isn't it? The Essex EVs again, and. Oh, put two hands in. Someone explained to Barry how it's not possible to ask those with no lived experience of driving an EV for their lived experience of driving an EV. Again, deliberately taking it the wrong way. Here we go. Despite only having an Ami quadricycle, he claims to know all about living with an EV. Not surprising that car dealers have such a bad reputation, is it? Essex EV is a bit dim because he knows I've had 2 Jaguar I-Paces and I'm looking for another one at the moment. I've got my Ami, which I love. Someone explained to whoever this anonymous writer is that people who have had lived experience with an EV and realise that they cannot actually live with it, so they sell it, do not want to keep reading your endless and unhelpful buyer's remorse creating propaganda. So if they were following you, they won't be any longer. But good to see you trying the same tactics with me, creating a pile-on. Bring it on.
So Everything Electric does the best to create a pile-on. They even retweeted their answers to me on the Fully Charged Show website. But in Everything Electric terms, their sycophants are dimmer than an usherette's torch. Read the questions, Barry, then have a think about how you need to own an EV to be able to answer them. You obviously don't have one, but how do you feel about owning your EV? See how stupid you sound? I've got to be honest, that voice, you sound stupid. You're right. How high do you want them? You got me. Is it that obvious that I don't own one EV? I own two. How do I feel about that? Well, pretty good actually. They're perfect for me. Oh, see how stupid you sound?
Me. I think this says more about 80% of the people who follow you and responded to your survey than I could do in words. 80% have no objection to buying a car that's either made in China or made by a Chinese manufacturer. And then when you look at that, that's a Chinese car. It's been for sale since April 2023 and they've dropped it £17,855 to 14 grand. It's done 2,500 miles. Let's see this one. Barry's throwing his toys out of his pram with love from Dan Caesar and the team. So Dan's finally named himself. Really? Toys out the pram? Is that all you have? You speak for every EV owner and the team too. Beware the ice of March, Dan. Now, I don't know whether you remember, but Caesar got stabbed on the 15th of March and he'd been warned to beware the Ides of March. And this chap's name's Dan Caesar. I thought it was like a bit of a play on words, you know, ice, Ides of March. I thought it was funny. I wish the EV haters would just crawl back into their caves. Nobody's been forced to buy an EV. We all buy what we want. So I got a reply. Tell you what, Barry, I like your conviction. And this discussion does need to be had with a wider audience. So let's have a one-to-one debate in January. We'll film it and put it out unedited on our Everything Electrical channel in the new year. Where's good, London or elsewhere? Dan. I reply, I mean, there's no point me speaking to him because, well, I just know I won't like him and it'll end up a flipping argument. So I've replied to his offer about, you know, meeting one-to-one. It's of no benefit to me. It would not benefit me in the slightest. The only people it will benefit is them. I only want what's best for the motor trade. You don't. I like EVs. They're fine for me. I don't like people like you. You are championing a course which is destroying the industry I love. Not by introducing EVs, but by the lame-brained way you want it done. If you and your kind had kept your noses out, the transition would have been smoother and organic, without people losing their jobs or a fortune. It is absolutely of no benefit to me talking to you on your channels, to your brainwashed sycophants with your skewed logic and sheer arrogance, insulting everyone else who disagrees with you, and arranging pile-ons to anyone who dares to question EVs. It's no benefit to me at all. I like being insulted by all your followers and subscribers as much as the next guy, but I think I will give it a miss, thanks. You could be a positive force and help, but you aren't. You are puppets. I truly believe that. I truly believe that if they wanted to help and they gave a balanced argument, told people what to expect, advised them correctly instead of just all this shillery, then they would help. But, you know, at me 1, 2, 3, he's bottled it already.
Oh no, don't make a fool of me in front of your 20 followers, 15 which are porn bots and the others just EV no marks. A sense of humour bypass or what? Just 4 porn bots, actually. I'd not noticed they'd slipped through. Thanks for the tip. Clean them up now.
If he knew me, he wouldn't say that. He really wouldn't. Oh yeah, our offer was declined. Sad face. Here we go. It wasn't declined. It was shot down with his usual barrage of shouty, I'm right, you're shills manner of disputing everything. Maybe it's confabulation.
I've got to be honest, I had to look up confabulation. Confabulation is a memory error that occurs when someone creates a false memory without intending to deceive, and can involve confusing image things with real memories. People who confabulate are not aware that their memory is wrong, and they are not trying to manipulate or deceive others. Oh, well, that was that was kind of him. Oh, perhaps not. Confabulation can be caused by a number of things, including memory disorders, neurological injuries such as traumatic brain injury or aneurysm in the anterior communication artery, mental health conditions such as Alzheimer's disease or brain tumours. These EV shills, they are so nice, aren't they? I just, you can't help but take to them and want to rush out and buy an EV.
Oh, Jonathan Cullen, chicken shit. Electrifying everything, colour me shocked.
FYI, I've had 26 million more views than them. They have 70,000 more subscribers, but I've had 55,000 more views this month, and my channel is ranked 449,631 places higher than Everything Electric. My content has been watched 24/7, 365 for 194 years. Yes, 194 years and counting. But yeah, 300 views, like the guy said. Trust me, they have everything to gain, and I have nothing by debating them. I'm afraid their presenters can't even agree amongst themselves. They skew the truth, which I've pointed out on numerous occasions. To be honest, I haven't got the time of day for them. They're just hypocrites. Bottled it. Yep, that's me, down to a T.
The Lord giveth. He doesn't want informed opinion. It gets in the way of his clickbait, pound-making videos. His other content was getting 180 views. He is the shill of intelligent people. Do not fall for his patter.
Oh, by the way, you have 50 followers, porn bots and betting shops, and you have the cheek to call me. You and the sycophantic people like you who follow them are another reason why I don't want to debate with Everything Electric. You're all like the Borg. One brain between you all, and programmed not to question them. I feel so sorry for you, not being able to think for yourself. You did get one thing right, though. I do know more than the SMOT. For instance, I know how many days, hours and minutes there was in July 2023. And I'm pretty sure I know more about new and used cars and prices than anyone at Auto Trader. Car dealer just repeat verbatim what other people say, so you can't even get that right.
Has he blocked me? Oh, there you go. So I replied to him, Semper Agressus, and if anybody knows anything about the army, I would hope that Semper Agressus, keep attacking. Is that it? Is it keep attacking? Number 23 Squadron RAF, always on the attack. Well, perhaps he is.
Basically, you confirm what I said. Your Bluetooth videos were hilarious until you found your clickbait, ? As for meeting you with your attack head on, I suggest you start talking about electric mobility scooters. You could be a clickbait expert. Now, I'm assuming that's a thinly veiled threat. And again, these EV people, Big behind the keyboard, aren't they? There you go. Keep digging, Barry. You'll soon be exposed for cutting the cables at charging stations to fund your little hobby. Seriously, I worry about these people. Then we've got Richard Ars 400. This idiot isn't the first shill to discover that pandering to people's badly informed prejudices is a good way to generate social media traffic, but he's stupid enough to believe he is. I'm loving this. The content ideas are coming thick and fast. I think I will go for lunch and a bottle of wine whilst all these EV nutters are helping me to retire and right the EV wrongs. Careful, sweetie, don't bust a blood vessel. You've tweeted me again. Arse 400. No, wrong. I made a comment about you, not to you. Now go away, loony. Again, the EV people, they always end up calling you or inferring that you're mental or, there's something wrong with you. Arse 400. Well, the outpatients are out in force tonight, but I should stop complaining because their spreading of FUD means I was able to buy an MG5 brand new in October for £22,000. Would have been £21,500, but the missus didn't want a white one. At that price, I couldn't care less about depreciation. I'm not selling the car, and this is what it costs to charge in winter. In summer, my solar will make it even cheaper, so carry on depressing BEV prices. Those of us with half a brain are laughing. Honestly, I don't think he's got half a brain. I think that's an exaggeration. And the funny thing is that all I'm trying to do is correct the misinformation given by Everything Electric and their followers. So I've got bad news for him again. Don't tell Ars 400, but they've reduced them by another 2,000 since last month. Seemingly, us FUDs are doing a fantastic job, and the EV catastrophic depreciation race to the bottom has cheated him out of £2,000 when he thought he was saving money. But we know what thought does. Over a third off before it's even got out of the showroom. EVs flying off the shelf. Not. So, these people that aren't worried by depreciation because they're going to keep it, again, what they don't realise is they're losing up front as well. Because once they buy it, next month it's cheaper. So save £13,500, brand new, £19,995. Reduced from £33,495 recommended retail price. And Ars 400 paid 22 grand for his last month. MG5, trophy long range, includes 2 free services. Again, this pylon that Dan didn't want and didn't ask for, Tom, one of his followers, Tom Callow, he's chucked his 2 penny within. Suspect there are a lot more people who have bought the Telegraph and regretted it. Who can they email? The actual vitriol that comes out of them all. How much did they lose by buying the Telegraph? Did they then have to sell it at a massive loss so they could go back to the Times and kick themselves for believing the crap that the Telegraph shill had promised them, that they would save money, the pages would last longer, etc., etc.? Have they saved for years to buy it, then lost 50% of their money? Did they finance it, realise that it wasn't fit for the purpose, and didn't do the job they bought it for, but couldn't get rid of it because it was now worth 70% less than the amount borrowed, plus the finance charges, an early settlement penalty? Telegraph newspaper, £2. Not quite the same, is it? Then then somebody enters the pylon called EV Nick. He reminds me of Mickey Pearce off Only Fools and Horses. Makes me laugh, but there you go. That's their sub-channel, mate. See their main channel. Also, with 5,400 videos from you, the average views per video is terrible. My channel was used for selling my cars and helping people with problems. It sold me about 3,000 cars and grown organically, without embarrassing cheesy clickbait. That's the channel they invited me on. That's the channel I use to show that there's no upside for me going on it. And as if by magic, you message me and reassure me that I made the right decision. After all, what's the point of talking to arrogant, condescending people like you? Seemingly, you typify their audience and also their staff. Not my type, I'm afraid, sorry. Clickbait is the same as incentives on EVs. It's the lazy way of doing your job. I have a bit of a look on Mickey's channel there. It's gone. Cozy 6. Someone stole my Octopus Cozy 6 heat pump. Not. Oh, okay. i3 secret Easter eggs. BMW i3 hidden features and tricks. Easter eggs. Okay, great. You are easily trigged, Snowflake. I'm assuming because he looks like Mickey Pearce from Fools and Horses, he thinks he's talking to Trigger. Be careful what you call clickbait, as your hate for EVs and passion to talk to conspiracy nuts is about as clickbait as you can get. Now, the only person I've talked to is Jeff Buys Cars, and that was about cars, which mostly I think me and him agree on. So, no. Typical thank you. Another shining example of the EV cult. Easily triggered, snowflake, hate for EVs, and passion to talk to conspiracy nuts. Yep, okay. You seem like a reasonable sort of guy. Then Essex EVers butts in again. He really doesn't know where he's not wanted. It's not personal, Nick. He seems to hate every single electric driver. And yet I drive an electric car myself. No sex EVers.
I don't hate everyone who drives an EV, but every day the list gets longer. And if it's any consolation, I think I'd still hate you if you drove a V8 Mustang. But you and your mate EV Mickey Pearce are just that type.
EV, Nick. Sadly, the car trade is full of them. They are a dying breed, but sadly, car trade full of large characters and storytellers, just full of BS to sell what they got. Yeah, that's not true, Nick. Looking at you, you've probably only been in the job 5 minutes, and you don't know that you don't know anything, which is bad. That's great, Nick. To be fair, you do seem to put a little more effort in than other EV salesmen, but I'm afraid the large characters of which you speak would eat your lunch. He'd be sat in the corner of the showroom crying. Barry, are you so desperate for someone to reply and back up your side of argument, you have to retweet my replies rather than carry on the thread? Debate with me. Don't scream and shout to your inner circle. I fight my own battles, Mickey, but I'm glad you found employment after Fools and Horses finished. Welcome to X Barry. Nice for you to learn how the reply feature works. Now my name's Nick. I'll call you Barry, as that's your name.
Why, is it triggering you? I'll let you into a little secret. I do it like this because usually when the people arguing with me and calling me names see what an idiot they've made of themselves, they delete their comment. I keep these so we can all keep laughing at them long after they've blocked me.
Barry, I won't be deleting any comments as I haven't been rude or called you names. You started down this route, buddy, not me. Mate and buddy, I'm honoured. Just as a side note here, I am typical spiv salesman. You wouldn't find any of the people, the dying breed of characters that he talks about in his previous tweet, you wouldn't find them calling you mate or buddy. It's only these pathetic salesmen these days that don't know how to do the job, don't know how to treat people with respect.
It's okay, Nick. We'll never be on first name terms, and you can call me what you want. I really don't care. Thanks for explaining that name thing. You've been an invaluable help tonight. And he's back to RT and not replying. Bye, Echo Chamber. Well, Mickey gives up easy, doesn't he? I hope he's better at prospecting for new customers than he is at pushing his narrative on Twitter. Bye-bye, Mickey.
Essex EVers again. That's what he counts as engagement, Nick. And as he says, I've said it, apparently, he does it to try and encourage us all to shut up and stop answering back. A real free speech warrior, in brackets. We've never blocked anyone and couldn't care less about him checking in on what we post. Well, it keeps coming up in my timeline because you keep tweeting me, you idiot.
You're part of the EV cult and you can't let go. You have to join in on every pylon that's instigated by websites like
everything electric. Even though they pretend they don't want to pile on, it's obvious to everybody, including their pathetic EV shill followers, that that's exactly what they were calling for. They were calling for a pile-on. They were trying to spoil that lady's survey and bog her down with stupid replies like yours.
So here we go, we'll go back to this. This is what I wanted to show you. So Dan's saying he didn't ask people to pile on. The first one, Graham Cobb. Email sent, hopefully the clickbait subject and first sentence will cross a few eyes at the Telegraph. I regret buying an EV in 2021. I realised that I should have bought one many years earlier. So, EV grade, done. I have an EV and I like it. Oh, well, they're right. This sort of cult-like behaviour is ridiculous. Absolutely. Ross Dixon, done. Regret not buying one sooner. This one, look, here's mine, Morag, Dr. Morag Kerr. I saw a tweet saying you were specifically seeking out people, rubbish, blah, blah, blah. I suspect the Telegraph email filter will screen out all the positive emails. But they asked, are you stupid? This is a spoiler alert. This is a spoiler. They don't want to know the truth. They want to shout it down, like all these people that keep going on at me. But what they don't know, I don't give up. you can call me all the names you want. I just think you're pathetic. I really do think you're pathetic. Very, very sad. Letter sent summary. Ever bought the Telegraph? I bought an electric car and regretted not doing it sooner. That lady has asked, she's trying to do something which will actually, so long as it's not a hit piece, it will actually benefit. We might be able to find out why EVs aren't catching on. And they're not. You can say what you want, they're not. They're superior technology and people aren't buying them. They're having to hold back new ICE cars because they can't sell enough EVs to hit the ZEV mandate targets. No matter what all these other people tell you, they can't. So there's a chance of another story coming out. What happens? They spoil it. They do the best to spoil it. They tell you the answer. They tell you what happens at the end of the film. She gets killed. Or I can just see them now. Eleanor gets wrecked. Gone in 60 seconds. Eleanor gets wrecked. And they're all there going, yeah, I bet Nicolas Cage buys an EV next. He'll be fed up with that Mustang. He'll be fed up with that Eleanor. He'll want a Nissan Leaf. Pathetic. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.